Bipsy, Anthos Finest. Welcome to the stream. Today, episode 2 of the collector series of PokeRadar podcast. We have a man who is not afraid to flex on you with not only his beautiful cards, but his beautiful biceps. We got Swole Poke in here with me today. How you doing, Swole Poke?
What's up, man? Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'll probably just call you Swole or Jeremy. I mix it up every now and then, so
Yeah, you want me to call you Radar or John?
whatever you're comfortable with. I feel like for me, Swole just kind of flows off the tongue a little easier. So
Yeah, that's how it is for most people. Once they know my real name, they just stick with calling me Swole. Anyways, even at Worlds, people were calling me Swole after they knew my name.
Yeah, Jeremy's just too many syllables, and it's one of those names where you're not sure if it's right or not, but that's all right. So last week we had our first kind of spontaneous podcast, and I figured I'd continue it since we got some good feedback. And honestly, I didn't prepare anything, as we discussed, and I'm just going to kind of hopefully have a nice organic conversation with you about Pokemon.
All right, hopefully it goes well.
So just to start off, we want to get kind of know you. What started you off with Pokemon back in 1999? I guess we're the same age. We're 26.
Yeah.
Right? So
and
we probably have similar stories. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all us 90s kids have the same story. We were all on the hype train when Pokemon was first announced back in the day. We were all, I think actually what got me started was the video game first. Because I remember I had a cousin who passed down his Game Boy to me, and they gave me their blue version. I had a blue version with a Game Boy, and that's what got me started with Pokemon, which trickled into, the card game, the TV show, all that good stuff.
What color Game Boy was it? I had the see-through purple.
Oh, I had that like gross off cream white colored one.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I think that's kind of that's typical. I think that's how it started in the U.S. and in Japan was the video game, right?
Yeah, it was the video game. I believe was the first thing that came out, and then everything else followed afterwards.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you were a blue version kid. I was a red version. Did you have any brothers or sisters, or like who did you play with the video game? And
my brothers and I all actually had different versions of the game. I ended up passing off the blue version to a brother of mine, and then the other brother got a red version, and then I ended up picking up the yellow version.
Okay.
So as they got older and were able to comprehend what a video game was and play, we all had our Connect cable links, and we were all playing different versions, battling and trading and whatnot.
Oh, so they're both younger.
Yeah, 2 younger brothers. Just a couple years.
Are they still in the Pokemon like you are, or no?
No.
No.
I mean, they'll still pick up the games from here and there, and one of them recently was getting back into it. He was buying booster boxes and packs, but he's a college student, so he can't really afford to do more than like a booster box every other month if he has the extra money to spend on it.
Yeah, I've got one of my brothers in on it. They're both older from me, so I was the one following them. You were the one kind of setting the trends for your brothers, I guess. So
yeah, pretty much, and that's literally it. I mean, every 90s kid has the same story. We all started at the same point with the same stuff.
So from a card standpoint, you grew up in LA, right?
Orange County. So I mean, that's only an hour outside of LA, but that's just right down the street.
So you kind of had, I mean, I talked about this last week, how the West Coast and the East Coast had the opportunity or better opportunity with first edition base set and Shadowless cards. Were you in on this like right away when Pokemon cards came out?
Yeah, so at the time I would have been, I think we were like 6 or 7. I was not aware of first edition, Shadowless, Unlimited, any of the variants. I kind of just took what I could get, and I have all my original cards from when I'm a kid still. Those are still in my collection, and they're all unlimited. So I think I had missed that first initial wave, and I think a lot of the guys our age missed that wave unless they had older brothers or an adult who was aware of the first edition print run and the Shadowless. It seems like the guys who knew that was a thing at the time, like Scott, PokeRep. Some of these guys, they are like, in their early 30s,
Right.
where they would have been young teenagers at the time, and they would have known like, oh, there's some rarity to these. There's a difference between them. Where I was a little 7-year-old, I just wanted a base set Charizard, and that was my only concern in the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Was there like a specific local store you remember going to, or did you just kind of get packs? I mean, packs were everywhere. I remember them being at. I lived by a pretty big mall. At the Disney store, they had packs. They had packs at 7-Eleven. They had packs everywhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was a local card shop that was posted up next to a 7-Eleven. So the 7-Eleven and the card shop both had packs. Um, Unfortunately for me as a kid, my parents, they supported it, but they were the we'll buy you like one pack a month if
Yeah,
you're a good kid kind of setup.
yeah, we were the same way.
Yeah, so I was not nearly getting the same experience some of these other guys were, where they were getting packs all the time. As a kid, I could pull up my cards. Where are they? I actually had to have my dad take me to that local card shop. They had Charizards there. I remember they were $50 at the time.
Oh wow.
My dad was like, not about it. Yeah, I remember Charizards were still expensive even back then.
Those might have been first edition though. $50. But you just didn't know that, maybe that's why they were so high. Because I remember my brother had a full set, which I have today, kind of in pieces because I sold off some cards, but I replaced them.
Nice.
And I remember back in the day when we had moved on from Pokemon, he had the full set, and we were trying to sell it to somebody, and at the time they were worth, or at least to these dealers, were worth $250 to maybe $300 for the whole set. So maybe $50 is right for an unlimited, which is crazy because today that's probably the same price for a raw played unlimited Charizard.
Yeah, and so the only way I acquired that copy, because my parents were not about spending that much money on one piece of cardboard that they knew I was going to toss aside eventually. Um, I had to score at least one goal a game in my local league to get the Charizard at the end of the season. So and you know damn well I did it.
Your dad was trying to get you out of this nerd stuff and focus on sports. I got you.
If only he knew that fueled it even harder and made me more passionate about the stuff.
Yeah, look at me now, Dad. No, I remember, yeah, with my Charizard story. So my older brothers, one's probably a little bit older than like Scott is, and then one's a little bit younger than Scott is. So they're like 30, 3 and 29 or something, and 30.
Yeah.
They both had Charizards. I didn't have a Charizard, and I was in the same boat where my parents wouldn't buy me one because it was just too expensive to buy a single card, and we were just kids not knowing what we were doing. We weren't playing seriously or anything. We never played in leagues. It wasn't like a
same.
It was just because we were just doing it because everyone else did it.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically my middle brother, who is the one that does Pokemon with me a little bit now. We were at a mall right near my house. We went to the Disney store, picked up a couple packs, and he pulled a Charizard. I remember exactly where we were, and he was just freaking out about it. But there's little John, little me, little PokemonRadar, getting in a hissy fit because I didn't have a Charizard and both my brothers did. So it actually turned out where my dad forced my brother to trade me one of his Charizards.
Oh, wow.
And I gave him a base set unlimited Haunter.
Oh, gosh.
But I ended up returning the favor once I got back into Pokemon. I gave him a nice new Charizard, and it was all good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, for the beginning again, you got in the base set. When did you stop? When did you keep, or what did you collect into?
So my passion for Pokemon was pretty strong up until I'd say probably end of 6th grade. I remember I just had like fallen out of Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh was the thing that started coming in. Um, and surprisingly enough, I traded almost all of my cards away for Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Wow. I never got into Yu-Gi-Oh. I thought it was stupid.
See, I think it was a combination of the gameplay was easy to understand and the TV show kind of all went hand in hand, which kind of made the experience a little more fun at the time.
Yeah, I never got into the TV show. That's probably why.
Yeah, and Pokemon was kind of, I mean, it's dumb saying this because I was into Yu-Gi-Oh, but Pokemon was kind of starting to become childish and
Yeah,
more for kids at
yeah,
that time.
yeah. No, that's the yeah. I mean, it was the basic transition was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then Magic the Gathering. That was kind of
Right.
beginner, medium, and then expert level kind of card games.
Yeah, and so that is when it fully ended. Is when I traded probably about 90% of my Pokemon cards.
What
I still have
what set was that?
maybe
Did you end at Gym something?
um that would have been around Neo
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Destiny, I think. Oh no, maybe it was Aquapolis.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you saying we talked before you getting into the Neo sets, but you made it all the way through I guess halfway through the e-readers then, or
Yeah.
almost.
It's hard to remember because my entire life I have bought packs randomly. I had never fully stopped liking
Hmm.
Pokemon. I would still go to Target with my parents or like even as I got like a driver's license, I would stop by there and I would buy whatever the new set was and try out a pack or two and see what I would get.
Oh wow, interesting.
So I have hollows from then that go up to Skyridge, but I know for a fact I wasn't collecting Skyridge and I was completely out of Pokemon, but I have Skyridge hollows.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I know I hard stopped at the gym series, but when I
Oh
was
wow, that's a short-lived career.
yeah, but when I was like coming home from college and just killing time, and I was at a Target, I remember buying like random EX packs or like a black and white pack or something, opening it just for the hell of it, and yeah, just pretty much throwing the cards away because I didn't know what the hell they were, and I was just doing it for the fun of opening it.
That's great because Black and White series is what brought me back into Pokemon.
Oh wow, what year was that?
That
2013.
would have been 2012 or 2013.
Pokemon Black.
One
I'll
of those
Google
one
it
of
right
those
now.
years. Well,
And
because I remember it was a birthday present. So if we're gonna transition now into what brought me back into Pokemon for a
yeah,
second time,
yeah,
um, my parents knew about my little one or two packs here and there uh, throughout the years growing up. And on my 19th birthday, my mom decided to go all out and she bought me like 5 packs, which baby Jeremy would have gone psycho mode because he would get 1 pack if he was lucky.
yeah.
And so as I was sitting there at the table opening packs, I was just like, what is this? Like Pokemon's so different. And pack or two in, I end up pulling it's not even a rare card worth anything, but I pulled a Radiant Collection full art Shaman.
Okay,
So the Radiant Collection full arts in that set are not hard to pull, they're not rare. But I remember what blew my mind was they had full arts now,
right.
where the Pokemon was taking up the entire surface of the card, and I was just so like in awe of what Pokemon had gotten to that actually fueled the flames that got me into pretty much where I am now.
And this is freshman sophomore year of college. Well, you didn't go to
Yeah,
college, right?
I went for a couple of years. I just never
Okay,
finished.
okay, gotcha. Well, that's unique in itself because I mean most people, yeah, they don't. I mean, we all started. A lot of us started with Pokemon Go. That was me
Yeah,
just out of college a couple years. Um,
right.
so I mean, were you working at the time? You had some extra money to start spending on this stuff. So is that like a hard point where you started finding this stuff on eBay, finding out about graded cards, finding out about going back to vintage, or did it take a while for that to kick in?
Yeah, it was all a slow process. I mean, this is a funny story, but I wanted the other Radiant Collection full arts, and at the time, I remember Mew was the most expensive at like $15 or $20. And I wasn't shopping on eBay. I was on Amazon because I was one of those people who thought eBay was, scam central. So I was trying to buy cards off of Amazon, and a seller, a seller had a set of the Radiant Collection, which is like I think it's like 3 or 4 full arts, and they were asking like $40 for the set. And I sat there, and it sat in my cart for like a month or two, and I could not bring myself to spend $40 on cards. I just thought I was insane to even be considering it. And looking back now, it's like the amount I've spent on single card. You know how much we spend on cards.
Yeah, it's
It's hilarious to think I had the hardest time with $40 on like cards I legitimately wanted for myself.
yeah.
Um, but then collecting, I was looking through other avenues as to like where other people were, what they were doing, and so I had gotten into the Instagram community not too long after that. I don't want to say one of the early members of Instagram, but
Well,
I
you've
mean,
got
back in the
almost
day,
5K here, so you've definitely been around the block with Instagram.
yeah, when I first started Instagram for Pokemon, there was probably a very small community of maybe a couple hundred of us. Every person knew every person, and what introduced grading to me, I remember a new guy had joined the Instagram community. His name's Mike. He doesn't collect anymore. I'm actually still in contact with him, which is crazy that we've known each other now for 6 years and we still talk regularly. But he, I remember, was one of the first guys to show up on the scene with PSA graded cards, and I thought I was instantly hooked when I saw those and I saw the grade and I understood what they were and who they were. I just instantly started buying them up. I think my first purchase was one of my favorite cards, which is a Rockets Entei. It's the Verse series, the Japanese exclusive one. I bought a PSA 9 of that for $20, and I bought a PSA 9 Shining Charizard for I think like $75 at the time.
Wow. I'm looking at them now. I got your Instagram up. I'm, do you still have those cards, or did you end up selling them?
No, man, I ended up selling them.
Yeah.
So much stuff has come and gone. I mean, thankfully now I am at a point in my collecting career where I just buy off of artwork and cards I actually like, and
Hmm.
they're a part of my collection, and they don't be moving.
Okay.
But at the time, it was like PSA was just starting to blow up, so I'd buy a card, and then the value would increase instantly or within a few months.
Yeah, it'd be stupid not to double my money. It'd be stupid not to make 50% on this. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still that way. I mean, I have my boxes now that I'm holding on to forever. Um, but I still haven't sat on any single cards yet, and I want to, but I'm not at that point yet. But you're getting me there with everything that's been going on lately with you. But so that's interesting. You started with Instagram. How did you find E4? Was YouTube involved? Because YouTube was a big thing for me, finding all these Gem Pokemon's openings, DCA games openings, a few other guys who I don't think are in the hobby anymore, but
right.
that's what brought me back into it. Because that's how I am today too. Is I'm all about opening packs. That's where the nostalgia lie. That's where everything is. That's the love of it for me. So finding pack openings on YouTube was what brought me back into this.
Yeah, definitely. E4 was actually the last community I joined. Funny enough, I was almost anti E4. Back then it was UPCC.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I remember people were talking about it on Instagram. So there was only like four, I mean, it's still four major social media outlets, but Instagram's kind of died for the community. 'Cause now it's more video based than community based for Pokemon.
Hmm.
But it was Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and E4. Those were like the four main places people were gathering to talk about Pokemon. And I had joined all the other communities, and I don't know what kept me away from E4. I think I just was anti forum based chat. I just always thought forum based chat was incel, keyboard warrior,
Yeah.
weird dudes. So I just was like, I'm not gonna be around those guys. But like, Instagram has some of the most immature people
Oh my
of
God.
all platforms right
It's
after
awful.
Verbank.
Yeah. I've never. I'm part of Verbank, but I've never dealt with anything because of all the crap I hear about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram, dude. I get so many hate. I get so much crap from people like that. I that picture of me and you that I posted and I crossed out the Trump sign.
Right.
That was just ridiculous. The feedback I got from that. But
Yeah.
wow.
And so E4, I've been on there now for I think 4 years. Um, but I had come into the Pokemon community like 7 years ago. And that started with Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So it took me about 3 years to get on E4. And E4 was pretty well known at the time. It didn't take anything special to hear about it or come across it. You could literally just type Pokemon community or chat or something on Google, and that'll be one of the first things that pop up.
Oh yeah, that's true. So one of your first big purchase in the graded world seemed to be that Shining Charizard. And I mean, what happened from there from a graded standpoint? Did you instantly go into searching everywhere for mint cards to grade, or did you just start looking to buy graded cards? Already graded cards.
It was raw cards all day. It was, I mean, back then trading was huge in the communities. I remember I traded a guy like 10 unlimited holos, and he gave me 2-pack fresh Gold Star Charizards.
Wow.
Yeah. Trading was everything.
Oh my god.
Both those Charizards graded a 9. So
okay. Either way, I'm sure you did really well with that.
So I want to say I was a collector, but I was an unintentional flipper at the time.
Right. Well, that's how everyone starts. You gotta get money and build. I mean, you can't sit on it. I mean, I've ran into so many opportunities where I've sat on too much inventory, and I don't have money just to throw around. So you got to move stuff.
College.
Yeah.
Being in college, my budget with Pokemon was probably 500 to 1,000 max, and so I couldn't be sitting on anything too long.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the goal always was to make more money to buy something bigger or better, or trade something to get something bigger and better.
Right.
And so that's what it was for a pretty long time, was buying, selling, get something cooler, get something bigger,
mm-hmm.
sell it, get something bigger. And that kind of just kept leading and going until to where I'm at now. And a lot of the cards I have on my Instagram that people like to awe over or look at, that was because of flipping. I wouldn't have had a lot of those cards because there was no way. I was a minimum wage worker
mm-hmm.
for like the first 2 years of college. So there was no way I was going to get any of those cards without flipping cards. And flipping doesn't necessarily have such a bad, or actually back then, no one thought flipping at all was bad. There was only like one guy who was legitimately flipping.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, everyone was doing it, and it wasn't really frowned on because it was looked at as a way to make money to buy better stuff.
Right. I mean, we finally hit a serious point in the hobby where the money is so big that it just it's a collectible. That's what it is. It's an established collectible now, so people are collecting, and that's what. And everyone that started off, even Scott, I'm sure he was a flipper early on like crazy, but now he was in on it so early. He built up everything he wanted and needed, and
right.
Yeah. So yeah, we all started off the same way, being flippers.
The hobby is just now coming to a place where people are coming in with a lot of disposable income.
Yeah.
When I first joined, I mean, it was a bunch of guys our age, 19 to 25, who had very small amounts of disposable income. And because the hobby wasn't popular, no one knew about Pokemon, no one cared about Pokemon. Pokemon was not a thing to anyone. So no one was coming in thinking like, I mean, maybe Scott was, I don't want to speak for Scott or like Gary, but there was almost no one coming in looking at it as a business investment opportunity. Everyone was coming in just collecting and trying to get like a bigger, better card than what they already have.
Gotcha. And I mean, so you jumped right into all this stuff, and just scrolling through your Instagram, there's a ton of Japanese. When did you get into Japanese and really kind of focus on that? Because even now, when we talk about some business ideas, you are just all about Japanese items and buying from Japan.
Yeah. So there was 2 cards that set off my Japanese collecting career. One of them was the Verse Rockets Entei. I remember thinking that was just the coolest card, that they did like another gym challenge series, but with like legendary Pokemon and modern Pokemon. That and the Masaki Gengar. When I had looked up what that card was, how you got it, the artwork, everything, I just was in love with it. And those two kind of fueled me into researching more about the Japanese side of collecting. And when I found out there was hundreds, maybe thousands of cards that the US never saw, never touched, never got an opportunity to collect, that made me just dive in headfirst. I wanted to know everything about Japanese. I wanted to collect all the Japanese. And I just thought at that point, Japanese is way cooler than English with the amount of stuff they were offering for the collectors overseas.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm definitely late on, but need you to teach me. How are you buying from Japan? How does that all work?
Well, back then, man, it was crazy. Everybody was secretive AF about how they were shopping on Japanese websites because it's not as easy as it was today where there's five different middleman sites, there's personal middlemen, there's websites that'll drop ship for you from Japan. There was like one or two middleman sites and you had to pry it out of someone to get it. I had a buddy who would constantly send me photos of super nice high-end Japanese cards, and when I'd ask him what sites he was on finding these, he just flat out would not tell me. And it took a friend of mine who had a couple of Japanese buddies overseas to finally tell me like, "Hey man, this is the site everyone's using." And I had just got on at like the tail end of it still kind of being a secret, but it was starting to get more well known. And now it's very common. Everyone knows there's Bai, there's Napin, there's Mandarake, Mercari. There's like a bunch of different Japanese outlets now for buying cards overseas that you can't necessarily get here um, as easily.
And that's just something I mean, you trust all that stuff. I mean, it's not just trusting the guy in Japan to send you the correct item, but then trusting this middleman company to go through with the
Yeah,
transaction as well. Or something I need to take the time to look at it myself and figure it out. But
I'd want to say it'd be comparable to like, let's say Kanye West is dropping new Yeezys, okay, and right out the gate, people are buying them for $200 whole or retail, but then they're flipping them on eBay for 1,000.
right,
Um, the company does not care about that money that's being made after market. And that's
okay,
kind of how these middlemen are, especially I think Bai and Noppin. They're the two probably biggest middlemen sites available. They probably have thousands of transactions a day and they just changed it recently, but they were getting 5% of every single sale that was through them.
okay, yeah. So they're just focused on
So,
one part of the business and they want to be legit and
well, the thing is that they're not just buying Pokemon cards. They're a middleman site for any product imaginable.
okay. Yeah, I've looked at the websites and seen Yahoo Japan and looking at everything and going through Macari and yeah, it's unbelievable how much they have on there. It's
Yeah. It'd be like if someone in Japan wanted to buy something on eBay and I was willing to middleman for them. If someone in Japan wanted me to buy a little statue of something and they know it's worth thousands, but I'm just like, okay, this is a random statue. This guy wants it. I can't keep up with every single purchase someone wants to make
yeah,
and know the rarity, the worth, what is behind it. I can just make my money, get it to the guy, and then make that or build that relationship and keep that going with multiple people.
gotcha. Well, I'm gonna start browsing these sites and when I find something, I'm just gonna have you take care of it first, just so.
Well, that's the next issue now. So all these Japanese websites are starting to become eBay with how well known they are.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the US is at a disadvantage because of the time zone and the time difference and the time change.
Oh, so for the auctions, it's difficult to.
Well, someone in Japan who wants to maybe make a listing before they go to work at 8 a.m., that's like 1 or 2 a.m. for us.
Right.
So they list it, and everyone in the UK, the European countries, they're awake the same time Japanese people are listing.
Okay.
So we're already at a disadvantage because you might be sleeping when someone lists a card for a great price, and then it's gone. It's literally gone within seconds. It's almost becoming eBay where a deal does not last longer than a few minutes if it's a steal.
Wow.
If it's a good deal, you might have a day, but most cards that are worth buying will be gone within minutes, and not just from US or in like UK or European buyers, even residents within Japan are becoming more aware, and
Right.
they're snatching up deals within minutes as well.
And this has been going on for so long now that people have eyes out there. I mean, people have
Yeah.
contacts there that are doing that for them.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Yeah. Well, they have
extremely
bots.
competitive now.
They have bots in place to like let them know when specific words pop up in a listing to send them like a notification so they can go check it out.
Yeah, I've got a friend that does that with all the new shoe drops, and he just gets like 10
Yeah.
pairs of the. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's no different.
All right. Well, let's transfer over to some of these big cards I'm looking at on your Instagram here. All these big Japanese trophy cards.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a 1998 number 3 Pikachu.
Okay. That's a great card.
Tell me the story.
So, story behind that. So let me first paint a picture for you. Around that time, I don't know what year the photo was posted.
This is posted June 21st, 2018.
Okay, so that was a repost. I deleted the original post.
Okay.
I want to say I bought that back in probably 2015.
Oh, wow.
2016.
Before I got back in the game. Okay.
Yeah. So at that time, trophy cards were everywhere. It was weird. Like in 1 year, the same year I bought that Pika trophy, at least 7 to 8 trophy Kangaskhan sold that year alone.
Do you remember what the prices were of these Kangaskhan's?
Yeah, cheap, under 2,000.
Under
a copy.
2,000.
So trophy cards were popping up left and right. It was a great time to be a collector because you could buy almost any trophy card you wanted. I think a couple Tropical Mega Battle number 1s, number 2s popped up that year, a couple SSBs, that one on my Instagram, multiple trophy Kangaskhan's, multiple University Magikarps, multiple Tropical Winds. It was just very full. Like the market was just full of these high-end cards.
Yeah, I mean, even today, there's not that big of a buyer pool for them because of how expensive they are. But yeah, you don't see them anymore.
Well, I can guarantee you though, if a mint trophy Kangaskhan pops up on any website for $5,000, it's going to sell today.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, since the market was so inflated with these trophy cards, that one popped up, and because it was faded,
where did it pop up?
It popped up on Yahoo Japan.
Okay.
So the one website everyone's using these days, Yahoo Japan. It popped up on Yahoo Japan, and it went up for, I believe, it was probably like $2,800 before fees.
Wow.
And nobody bid on it but me. And mind you, the only reason why it sold for so cheap was because the market was so inflated with trophy cards, and because it was faded, where we all had the same mindset of, I'll pass on this one and I'll just wait for the next copy to pop up.
Well, I mean, was it common to see it in its case like this? Because I know,
yeah.
Isn't it difficult to find them like this now, or is it just like people have taken them out to grade them?
That's the 1998 variant, which I believe there's over like 30 copies of that one alone.
Oh, okay.
It's the 1997s that there's like only 4 of each one.
Okay, gotcha.
But the market was just, there were so many cards, it was just people were passing up trophy cards because they would just wait till a better condition one came in. So when I got that one and it came in and it was faded and there was actually a little bit of an indent on it, I'm so dumb, but I was just immediately turned off by it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'll just sell this one and another one will pop up.
So you paid what, $3,000 for this after fees, or?
Yeah, $3,000 for it after fees is what I paid.
How long did you hold on to it for before you sold it?
I probably had it for about, not long. I had it for like I was just gonna lie and say 6 months, but I realistically probably had it for like 2 or 3 months.
It's okay. We already established we were flippers in the beginning. It's okay.
Yeah, well, like I said,
how much did you get for it?
I think I got like $5,000 for it.
Okay, so I mean that's a great.
But then the next guy got like 6 or 7, and then that's when it snowball effect, and the price just kept going up. And
what are they going for today?
Like that card could probably get $30,000 today.
Jesus Christ, that is unbelievable.
I know.
Do you know who owns this card by any chance?
No, it's passed through so many hands, but whoever owns it now is definitely holding on to it.
Yeah.
And if it was ever to pop up, I would know if it was the one I owned, but I remember at the time the card came in and it had a little bit of an indent. It was faded. And I just thought, you know what? Like, this isn't worth keeping it. There's so many cards popping up. At the time, when I owned that card, at that time, I had also owned a PSA 9 Trophy Kangaskhan, a PSA 9 University Magikarp, and I had a Raw Tropical Wind card as well, and a PSA 10 Tropical Mega Battle Zapdos.
Yeah, the post here says you had 7 different cards that year,
Yeah.
2016. So,
Oh, yeah.
God, that's crazy.
That's what I mean. The market was just inflated. There was just tons of them. So
what's
it was
what's the
like,
Zapdos one? That's not the phone card, is it?
that's the phone card.
It is
That
the
was
phone
my
card.
first high-end purchase. That was the first card I ever bought where I spent what I considered to be a lot of money at the time.
I don't see that one too often, except for that Black Label one that has just been hated on like crazy.
That Black Label one deserves all the hate it's getting.
I don't pay attention to that at all. But I mean, talk more about the prices you paid for these things back then. The PSA 9 con, the
Yeah. So the Zapdos is actually what got me comfortable with spending four figures on cards. I had bought it for $750. Um, a little time after that, just through connections and contacts, I had bought the Trophy Kangaskhan off of a guy. I actually bought my Trophy Kangaskhan off the owner of the PSA 10 Illustrator card,
wow.
which I believe he still owns. I don't remember his name, don't remember anything about him, because shortly after he sold me that Trophy Kangaskhan, he decided to stop collecting Pokemon cards and he went full time baseball and he changed his name, his account, everything.
Damn.
So I have no connection to that guy at all. But he did tell me he was keeping his PSA 10 Illustrator, which at the time he had paid $20,000 for.
Jesus. Do you know who he bought it
And
from? Or did he grade it himself?
I don't remember who he bought it off of, but I know it was regraded three
Okay.
or four times before it actually got that 10.
Okay.
But
I
he spent
didn't even know there was a
20,000.
10.
There's 110 on the PSA Pop Report
Okay.
if you go look. But that was back in like 2014 or 15. He spent 20 grand. So that was a lot for that card at that time.
Yeah. And what, the
I want to
9
say,
recently sold for 250, so that thing would go for,
who knows?
yeah. Wow.
I mean, it might get a little bit of a turnoff from buyers if they knew it had to be regraded a few times to get that 10.
And everyone that's buying that thing, well, most of them probably know that.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
not like a really talked about story.
Okay.
You only know that if you've been in the community long enough.
Okay.
If I'm a buyer who comes in and I heard that that's the top card and I have 500,000 to play with, which I know is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to know that it's been regraded multiple times unless he's invested in the community or he has a contact who can tell him everything they need to know.
Right. But the other thing is, there's not going to be another one that gets that label. So even if it is a week 10, it's got the label. There's not going to be another one. At least
Right.
you would
Not
assume
anytime
so.
soon.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. So I had paid for the Trophy Kangaskhan, my first ever copy. I had paid $1,900 for it.
What, it was pre-graded at 9, or was it a raw one?
It was a raw copy.
Okay.
My first ever University Magikarp, I paid $1,000 for.
And you just got a new one.
Another one. Yeah, I just bought another
which
one.
You posted the video today on your Instagram. That thing looks beautiful.
Yeah, that is amazing condition. That I could actually think would get a BGS 10, maybe Black Label.
Wow.
Which has been a while since I've seen a high end card come in that clean.
Are you gonna do it through Beckett?
No, I'm doing PSA.
Okay. All right.
If Black Label's taught me anything, with high end Japanese cards, it doesn't add that much of a value. They're already so niche and
Right.
so hard to grade in a PSA 10, and they already bring in such a demand that a Black Label or a BGS 10 isn't gonna increase the value that much because it's like, how much more can you add on to a card that's already hard to find, hard to grade, hard to get?
Right.
Gotcha. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think the only Black Labels that will be beneficial are going to be Shadowless Charizard, and then maybe all the first edition base set hollows.
I think anything Wizards of the Coast English can have an increase in value with a Black Label, like a Neogenesis Lugia, maybe like a Shining Magikarp. I think those old cards that have a lot of nostalgia could increase the value, but anything newer, anything Japanese isn't going to do much.
Okay. All right. So is that Magikarp going in with my Ninetales that I sent you? It'll be there Friday, by the way.
No, Magikarp's already there.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh yeah, I have to send that in on a like a 2 day, just because of the value and what PSA
What do you pay for?
wants.
What do you pay for a 2 day on that?
Well, 2 day right now is $200.
Okay. Well, that's gonna. I mean, regardless if it gets what a 8, 9, 10, you'll benefit off of that $200 probably.
8 maybe. I'm honestly, I have zero doubt in my mind it's going to get a 10. Mark my words.
Wow, that's gonna be awesome. How do you know what the pop report is?
PSA 11.
PSA 10. What's the? Oh, there's.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Pop is 11.
Pop 11. Okay.
Pop 11.
First PSA 11, baby. Super pristine. Damn. Okay, that's awesome. So, I mean, that's kind of what we talk a lot. We started doing a little bit of business together, but that's what I see. What your main focus is now is these higher end Japanese exclusive cards. I mean, a little bit before that, I saw a nice little Shadowless run that you had, and you even opened up a box. It looks like. Tell us a little bit about that, dude.
Yeah, so I went through a huge Shadowless phase back in the day. I was one of those guys who thought they were undervalued. They were going to explode one of these days. I thought they were rare at the first edition. um,
Which technically, I mean, there's less of them in the pop report,
right.
I guess. But I guess
right.
they're still niche.
Right. So I had just dedicated a lot of time into trying to get a set. I actually made that a higher priority than a lot of Japanese cards. And I was just a fan of them. They were just cards I didn't get a chance to own as a kid. So I think that kind of drove my passion more with Shadowless back then. And even that, like back then, a Shadowless box only cost I paid $2,000 for that Shadowless box.
It wasn't a guaranteed though. It had the short crimps, right?
That one
And it
was
had
only
wizard logos.
guaranteed because the guy who sold it to me had a case of them, and other boxes in the case had Shadowless cards.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy. $2,000, man. I mean, at the time, what was a normal base set box going for? Do you remember?
Maybe 1,000 or 1,500 at most.
Okay. So there wasn't even that much of a premium. I mean, today they're about, what, 3 times the price? There was a point where they were almost 10 times the price, but they've taken a nice little dip on the Shadowless cards or Shadowless boxes. But yeah, that's one set for me that I enjoy, but I just rather get that stamp, And if I see, I'll just put my money towards the first edition over the Shadowless all day long, and I've always been that way.
Yeah, and first edition has stood the test of time compared to Shadowless. Shadowless had a huge jump and then kind of crashed and is now stabilizing, where first edition has been pretty consistent and strong these last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that Charizard I picked up at Franks and Sons when I was with you. That's still at PSA. Hopefully it comes back soon. Maybe I'll get a nice little 9OC, but most likely not.
That would be quite the pretty penny if you got that qualifier.
Yeah, it wasn't close enough for that, but that's cool. I mean, so now, I mean, what are your goals right now, collecting wise? Like you said, you're big on just on artworks now and actually truly collecting stuff that you enjoy. What do you have your eye on right now?
Yeah, collecting for me now is something more personal and more fun. Like I said, I now buy cards where I remember liking the art over the years or wishing I had the card but just never actually buying it. So what collecting is for me now is actually making a commitment to buy those cards, grade those cards, and just own cards I legitimately like because of the art, the holo, the layout, whatever it may be.
Right, but of course you're price conscious about it, even though you understand the market very well and where it could be going. So you're buying things that are hard to get. Like a lot of your latest posts have been sign cards, which is something that I can't believe I didn't hop on like months ago when Scott was talking about it in his YouTube videos and his Patreon videos. I mean, it was so clear and obvious that these things were going to take off, and they have just gone crazy. One of my favorite ones is the Christopher Rush Mewtwo, which I think you have a few of. um,
Yeah. Funny enough, sign cards are not cards that are part of my actual collection. They're, I think, the only
Investment
one I'd be
pieces.
willing to keep. Yeah, those are investment pieces. When I say cards that I collect, I'm talking like commons, uncommons,
Hmm.
random full arts from a random set, random hollows from a random set, random trainers. So collecting to me is just legitimately collecting cards that I like.
And
And
and you're an unlimited guy too. We talked about this at when we were at Franks and Sons. Is that you're collect like that's what you truly love is the unlimited sets because that's what you've had as a kid.
not only that, but it's if you're not looking to collect or try to make money off the cards and you just want the hollow and the art, unlimited is the best way to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, other than base set where it is slightly different, um, yeah, all the artworks are the same. One unique thing about you that I haven't talked about much with you personally is your binder collection. You're a big fan of these unique binders, and you're not filling them up with cards. You're just buying sealed binders because of these really cool artworks. I mean, what's your collection like that looking like?
Yeah, so like right now, I think I own 15 different sealed binders, um, which they just take an insane amount of room. I need to figure that out, but um, I don't know. Anyone who's ever seen a Japanese binder or a Pokemon Center binder would know that those binders from the early EX era just have some of the craziest artwork. And not only that, but finding those binders sealed or untouched or unused from that era is near impossible. A lot of the binders I have that are sealed, or even maybe not sealed, excuse me, um, those are the only times I've seen those pop up and I bought them.
what's
And since then,
yeah
they
what
haven't come back.
what's the market like for those? Are there a lot of people looking for them? I mean, that's obviously got to be a niche little market within itself, but what's the value of something like these binders? I have no idea.
That is entirely up to the seller and the buyer. Like you just said, that is probably about as niche as it gets in this hobby is
Okay.
collecting sealed binders. Personally, for me, I'm willing to spend up to like $200 a sealed binder to get it if it's something I don't have and I really like the artwork on. Um, but I've paid as cheap as 50.
Okay. Wow. I mean
So it,
that's a lot for a binder. I mean, just looking at them, but
yeah. Well, I mean, some of those binders, like I said, personally, in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I've only ever seen some of those pop up one time, sealed for sale, and since then, I've never seen them again.
they are really cool though. This Lugia one with all the evolutions on it. It's like hand drawn type artwork. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a perfect example right there. That's the only time I've ever seen that binder for sale that was sealed.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I actually paid. That was the one I paid the most for ever, which was $200.
Okay. Well, there's a $200 binder, folks, but Swole's asking 2,000.
No, that's probably one of the.
Not for sale.
It's funny you mentioned that binder. That's probably going to be one of the hardest things for me to ever sell is that binder.
Okay. What about card wise? Do you have something in your collection right now that you'll never let go of? What's your favorite card?
Yeah, like funny enough, the funny cards I like are cards that aren't even worth that much. Like one of my all-time favorite cards I have right now is a reverse hollow Larvitar from Dragon Frontiers in a PSA 10.
And of course, Larvitar is
Like
your guy, your go-to
that's
guy.
my Pokemon. Yes, sir. I mean, and but my most expensive card that's personal for me that I don't want to sell anytime soon. That's part of my collection. The most expensive one right now would be a first edition base set Nidoking in a PSA 10.
Okay. That's my second favorite base set card. My first one was the Zapdos because I that's just the one I had as a kid and played in every single deck, whether it was electric or not. I just love Zapdos for some reason. Um,
Yeah, we all have our favorite
yeah,
hollow. So that was the one for me as a kid growing up. I just always loved Nidoking. He was always the one I had to have in my party on red version or blue version going through Mount Moon and getting that Moonstone and evolving my Nidorino once I got out of that cave.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think my favorite card it's the base set Charizard that I pulled at Worlds with all you guys. Even though it graded as 6 because it came out of the pack with that dent corner. Um, that experience of just opening packs with all you guys. I mean, that was the first time that I had met you was at Worlds this year, in Washington D.C., which is kind of where we kicked off our relationship, Pokemon wise. Even though we talked about this, we definitely crossed paths in 2017 at Anaheim, which I'm showing the picture here of me at the table with Thorgene, Charlie from Ludkins, and SM Pratt, and then Gem Mint's right here as well.
Which is funny because I'm sitting on like the other side of Gem Mint, or like I'm at that table. I'm just not in the photo.
Yeah, and I showed you the photo, and you pointed out the core water bottle sitting there. Like that's mine. I was right there with you. So we crossed paths here in 2017 at Anaheim, but we never spoke. I mean, I was only there for the one day, so it kind of makes sense that we didn't see each other. But 2019 Worlds was pretty big for us. I mean, I think 2017 was the first E4 meetup, or legitimate E4 meetup for Worlds.
There's been E4 meetups in the past. That was just the biggest at the time, was 2017.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I had just found out about E4 at that point. Like, I was a new kid on the block with Pokemon. I just lived in the state and figured I'd drive down and see what was going on.
Yeah, that's how I was.
Yeah.
But 2019 was definitely the most insane, most amount of people from E4 in one place.
Yeah, that was a good time. I mean, me, you, PokeRev, Cool Trainer Ryan, we hung out quite a bit, which was a lot of fun. And then, of course, all the other guys there, we got to spend some time with. I am 0-1 against Swole, Poke, and Smash, but I will beat you next year. Is that something you think you'll do next year? It is all the way in London.
That's a hard trip, man. I'd love to make it out there. It's just not as easy doing a weekend getaway internationally.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of making it a whole, maybe like a week trip, trying to do a little sightseeing throughout Europe. But
yeah, which I'm open to. It's just a matter of you can't just last minute go. You have to actually kind of plan ahead of time and
right.
Figure out what you're gonna do, where you're gonna be, where you're staying, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about what's your feeling about sealed product? I mean, when I was with you at Franks and Son, you had a great pickup of this demo game pack, which I don't know if you still have or not, but
surprisingly, I still have it for some reason.
I mean, they've been doing quite well, I think, and I don't see them as much as I used to. So that's kind of a unique item to have. One thing that I have to thank you for that I want to talk about is these first edition base set packs that we purchased together recently.
Yeah.
So many of you probably know that Swolepoke and I came into some first edition base set booster packs and had some heavies, some guaranteed heavies in there. So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. Hopefully sure. You're okay with that. But
yeah, definitely.
So Swolepoke and I, again, we hit it off at Worlds, and living in the same state, we've been talking a lot and trying to do some. We've been meeting up occasionally and trying to do some business together because we're kind of in a similar point or similar state, I guess, with Pokemon, or with how far we can reach, our bank account, I guess, and honestly, what our goals are trying to do. I'm trying to get something a little bit bigger, and you're still trying to get some bigger stuff as well.
Right.
But this is something that you brought to the table that I am so thankful for because it actually crossed off a bucket list item for me. Swolepoke came to me and said he had an ex-WotC employee who he's purchased packs from before have 25 base set first edition booster packs. And
which we lucked out on even getting in the first place.
Yeah, which was, I mean, it was a public thing. People could have caught on to this, which, you hopped on it right away, hit me up and said, I mean, I don't know what negotiating you did, but we paid $20,000 for 25 base set first edition packs, and taking a huge risk, not knowing if they were weighed or not, because the guy selling them would not. I mean, he wouldn't weigh them, right? I mean,
Right.
you've dealt with him in the past, and you said you've opened packs and pulled hollows, so this was
Yeah.
something that I was, I was just ready to take a risk on because I wanted it so bad. But I was still a little iffy about it too. I was going back and forth with you. Um,
Yeah,
but
man. So I guess I'll kind of give some more insight on that,
yeah.
where there was a guy on eBay who was selling tons of booster boxes, and I had noticed he had a green wing base set box with the Wizards of the Coast on the saran wrap, or the wrapping. And I remember what made me kind of realize it was probably Shadowless was, well, one, the wrapping was similar to clear wraps, which is kind of its own thing to explain, but it just had similarities to a clear wrap. And I noticed he was selling Wizards of the Coast products. I don't know how this guy got looked over by so many people, but he had a lot of products that were coming straight out of Wizards of the Coast. Um, so I messaged him, asked him about the box. He had no idea what Shadows was or what that meant. Um, I ended up buying the box because he had a open return policy. So I was like, I'll just buy it, and we'll see what happens. And so I get it, confirm it's Shadowless. A buddy of mine opens it up, and there's Shadowless cards inside. And so, um, before that transaction, I was just buying Neogenesis packs off of him here and there, and every time I'd buy a set of four, I'd at least get a hollow or two. So I knew the guy wasn't weighing packs, or I wouldn't be getting so many hollows. And so after I bought that box and some of his stuff had sold, I decided to message him and kind of ask him, "Hey man, you got any more sealed product you're looking to list up?" And he had told me, "I have these 25 packs, but this is the last of my sealed product that I have that I'm putting up for sale. That's it after this."
Hate to hear that.
um, and so I asked him. Actually, I didn't even ask him about a price. He just said they were spoken for. I don't know if you remember this, but it took us like a month before we could even work a deal out
Oh
with the
yeah,
guy,
that's right.
because I don't know who I don't know who found out about the packs, but somebody else knew about the packs before we did, and somebody else um, had first go on them. And I mean, good for him for being a man of his word and not trying to just make a quick buck. But he gave someone else, whoever they may be, like 3 weeks to try to pay for these packs, and they could just not pull through for him.
Wow.
When he first told me about the packs, he said, "Hey, they're gonna buy them off me in 2 weeks, but I'll let you know if they don't sell." And so I remember calling you, and I was like, "I'm gonna hit him up and see what he says." At the 2 week mark, I message him, and he's like, "Hey man, they're still trying to get the money. I'm gonna give them 1 more week. If they don't pay me in 1 more week, then you can have them." And so then, um, yeah, another week had passed, and whoever this unlucky SOB was missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Um, and so yeah, we ended up getting those packs, and I remember everyone was super nervous about them being unweighted. And of course, word of mouth and trust can only get you so far. And so,
Well,
um, I
and me and you were trying to kind of sell them before we got them too, because we wanted to sell them as unweighed because we were getting them as unweighed. Um, and we hit up a few of the bigger names in the hobby. I mean,
Well, no, we actually started selling them after we had paid for them. So
right,
we
right,
weren't trying to pull like a switcheroo and have someone to pay us at the same time we're paying that guy. We had legitimately given the guy the $20,000, and I think I got them within like a day or two after paying for them.
right.
But we had
Because
definitely reached out and seeked interest
yeah,
for those.
yeah, because we weren't about to sell something that we didn't have our hands on that could have gotten messy. Um, but yeah, because and then we were going back and forth on what we wanted to do with it. And I remember
Yeah.
when you got them, I was like, dude, FaceTime me right away. I want to see these things. I was so excited. Um, and that's when we decided that let's weigh them out. We'll split them up evenly, and we'll figure out what to do that right there. So
Right.
you started weighing these things. You had the camera there. I was watching them, and dude, when that first one came in as heavy, I flipped out, and I was so excited. And it ended up being what out of 25 packs we had
9 heavies.
9 heavies, which was like one above what I guess what you should get with the 1 and 3
Right.
guarantee. So it was a third of a booster box, of a sealed booster box, and we knew they were legit. We knew where they came from. We didn't have to deal with it being a fake sealed box or anything. So like in my eyes, these things were just the most beautiful thing they'll hold on to. And yeah, we ended up selling off the lights because we wanted to recoup some of the cash, which those went to PokeRev. I'm sure a lot of people saw that he opened up a pack and showed that they were legitimate, which was great in our eyes too, because we wanted to see those packs be opened. So we ended up each getting 4 heavy packs, and then we sold together one of them, which we hold the record still. We hold the record for the most expensive Pokemon booster pack at $5,000, unless there's been a private one that we don't know about. But that's just cool to own, cool to have that title. Which I will definitely flaunt and brag about until someone beats it.
Until you fill the rest of your pack.
Right, exactly. But yeah, marking off that one thing off my bucket list, man, was opening up one of these heavy packs. And
that's awesome.
And I just had to thank you so much for that opportunity and letting me get in on this. And obviously, we're gonna do very well financially with them if we end up selling them. But these are my favorite thing in my collection right now, and I don't know what's gonna beat it besides a sealed first edition base set box. So, I mean, that's one thing that I had to move on from was I to get cash together. I had to kind of break down my favorite piece in my collection, which was a sealed jungle booster box case. Ended up having to open it to sell it to get some money, but I was able to transfer that over and get these packs, which even next to a sealed jungle booster box case, these would be my favorite item. So, I mean, you take sacrifices like you talked about before, and buying and selling to build up the better items. And yeah, we got a hell of a deal on these packs, and I'm so happy to own them. It's just one of the coolest things. I mean, I pulled the Ninetales and you pulled the Clefairy.
Right.
And then we also know from the other packs that have been opened, which you ended up buying the other one, right? The other holo?
Yeah, so the guy actually had some raw cards from when he opened up some of the packs. And the only other one he still had was a Zapdos. I confirmed with him that he didn't pull a Charizard, and I mean, just based off his character and everything, and getting 9 heavy packs from a guy who was selling us unweighed packs, I'm gonna just assume he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
But so far, we only know a Zapdos has been pulled, your Ninetales, my Clefairy, and then whatever the other 3 holos were that he pulled.
Right. Well, 2 that he pulled and the one that's off at the person we sold to, which I haven't seen anything pop up lately.
Well, no, because we got 9 heavies.
Oh, right.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So out of the 3 he opened, one of them was Zapdos.
Right, and the 2
other ones we don't know of, and then we have 2, and then the 1 pack we sold off, we don't know what they got.
Yeah. That's tough looking at these packs right now, thinking there's a Charizard in them.
One of us has got it.
I'm gonna close my case and set it aside. Can't keep looking at it.
But I mean, it's crazy to think that the odds of us having one is considerably high between you and I.
Right, and the holos we pulled were just flawless. I mean, the centering wasn't perfect, but I think maybe a 10 if we get a good grader. But yeah, the holos were clean, no scratches, no print lines. The backs were perfect. I mean, no dots, nothing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's super cool. Well, we've been going for about an hour here. I think we covered a lot of your story and what you're looking at now, and it might be a good time to call it off. I think there's a lot more that we can talk about. I mean, some more business that we're doing together now, but I don't want to get into that until it comes to fruition. So, I'd definitely like to have you on again, and maybe even possibly come down and do a live podcast with you where we can sit across from each other.
Yeah, man, we gotta set up at Frank's and Sons one of these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the other collectors down there that we hang out with. You got Shadowless Charizard, you got Professor O'Calley, and maybe some other guys that we haven't met up with. But Make sure you guys follow Swolepoke on Instagram. I appreciate you being here, man. And we'll definitely be talking a lot more as some more opportunities come up. So thank you very much, man. I'll let you go and have you relax tonight.
All right, man. Cool. Well, it was good talking to you. See you around.
Yep. See ya.
Yep.
Well, boom. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining in on my second episode of the PokeRadar podcast. We learned a lot about Swolepoke and his story with Pokemon. You know, it's he's definitely one of my closer friends in within the hobby, and happy to be the guy, humbled to have him on my podcast and talk about Pokemon. I mean, there's a lot more we could have got into, but I didn't want to cross any lines with what we're working on. So there's some exciting stuff coming, hopefully in the near future, and you know, keep an eye out what this guy's buying and selling, because he has some incredible stuff, as you see on his Instagram and what we talked about. I mean, this Magikarp that he got is really just immaculate. It's unbelievable. So hopefully he gets a 10. Hopefully he does well with that and can maybe, I don't know if he wants to hold on to it or buy some stuff that he wants to hold on to forever and you know, get the things that he truly loves. So I'm going to end the podcast here, guys. I will get it uploaded to YouTube as soon as possible. And next week, I haven't confirmed a date yet, but we will be having an interview and chat with Pokemon Revolutions, who of course is he doesn't need an introduction. Everyone knows who he is. But thanks again, Swolepoke, and thank you guys for joining in. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the bits. Kanto's finest. Thank you very much for your support, and everyone else that joined in. So take care, guys, and have a great night.